Alright, this is the first video for 5.2, the properties of rational exponents and radicals. These are the notes, and they help you with 5.2 practice for big ideas. The essential question for all of 5.2 is how to use properties of exponents to simplify products and quotients of radicals. So in video 1 here, we are going to be using the properties of exponents to simplify each expression. Alright, so that's our instructions. But before we even get to that, let's move that up. We have some core concepts to talk about. So we talked about in the chapter opener all the properties of exponents. So you have that chart in your notes from the chapter 5 opener. You can also have it where it looks like this. The same rules, they do not change, okay? So we've already kind of reviewed some of these rules. And this gives you a little more example. The rules that you have give you this, but this is showing it in use. So you might want to refer back to this table to help if you need. Excuse me. But we are now going to use these properties of rational exponents to simplify each expression. So when we go back to either you can use this one or you can use this one, you can see we have the base is the same and the powers are different. So this is going to use the products of powers. And we add the powers. Okay, that was this one. Alright, so I'm going to keep the base the same since they're both base 7. So I leave the 7. Now I have 1/4 as one power and I have to add it to the other power. Okay, so this will equal 7. And then you have to add fractions here. So remember, they need to have the same denominator to be added, or you could use your calculator to do this. But 1/2, if I put it with the base of 4, that's multiplying the top and bottom each by 2. So I have a 2, so this is the same thing as saying 2/4. Okay, 1/4 plus 2/4 is 3/4. Okay. Sorry. So the next problem, number 2, we've got a couple of things going on here. Everything is taken to the second power. Notice my bases are not the same, so I can't simplify inside this parenthesis. I need to just go ahead and use this, which is the power of it's the power rule, or power of product, because there's two things inside. So this is a power of product as well as the power rule, because I take each term, so 6 to the 1/2, I need to multiply it by the power that's outside the parentheses. And I still have times 4 to the 1/3, which I also need to multiply by the 2, that power that's outside the parentheses. So when I simplify this, I get 6, 2, or 1/2 times 2 is 1. So 6 to the 1 power, I don't need to write something to the 1 power because that used that exponent of 1 rule, okay, where it just equals the exponent itself, okay, but it is still multiplying 4, and that is 1/3 times 2, which is 2/3. Okay, this marker is kind of fat, so I'm going to go to a smaller marker here for number 3. Okay, so in this one, my bases are not the same, but my powers are. So I'm going to rewrite this as 4 times the 3 to the power of 5. That's just inside here. They're both to the power of 5, so I'm going to combine them together. Now all of this is still to the negative 1/5. But I'm going to simplify this inside first. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12 to the 5th, and that's to the negative 1/5. Okay, so now I'm going to use that power rule. I multiply the two powers together, so I get 12, and I have 5 times negative 1/5 is negative 1. Okay, that uses the negative rule, which then turns this into a fraction, and it's 1/12 to the 1 power, but that exponent of 1 just leaves me with 12. Okay? All right, number 4. All right, so here my bases are the same, so I'm going to use the quotient rule. This power, if there's no power listed, remember that is the power of 1. That's the exponent of 1 rule. Okay? So I have bases the same, but the quotient rule says I take the power in the numerator and I subtract the power in the denominator. So I have 5, and then 1 minus 1/3 is 2/3. Okay, number 5. Now this one looks like it's got a lot going on. And it has a little bit. So we can simplify the inside here. If you notice, the bases are different, but the powers are the same. So I can have 42 over 6 to the 1/3 power, and it's still being squared. So if we simplify the inside, 42 divided by 6 is 7 to the 1/3 power, and that's still being squared. And now I have the power rule. 1/3 times 2 gives me 7 to the 2/3. And it's a simplified. All right, number 6. So if you look, I have bases the same here, and that's a 4. I can make that base the same because I can make that have a base 2 because 4 is 2 squared. Okay, so I'm just going to deal with the inside now, kind of ignore this. Well, I'm going to keep it there, but not deal with it till the very end. So if I want to make everything 2's, let's first change this denominator here. So 4 is the same thing as saying 2 squared, and it's to the 3/10. Okay, I'm just dealing with the denominator. Okay, so if I rewrite this, I have 2 to the 4/5 on top times 2 to the negative 2/5 all over 2, and I have a power rule here. 2 times 3/10 will be 6/10. Okay, and so negative 1 power. All right, now I have all of the bases are the same. So then I can use the rules that I know. On the top, we have a product, so we could go ahead and do that. Well, I guess we could have done that at this step, had one less writing, but that's okay. If I keep the base of 2, I'm going to have 4/5 plus a negative 2/5. And it's all over 2 to the 6/10. So you really could actually just go ahead with the quotient rule. We know we subtract. So you could then say, okay, minus 6/10, and then not write that in the bottom. And all of this is still to the negative 1 power. So we know we have a base of 2. And then that's a lot of fractions. So just to do it quickly, we have 4/5 plus a negative 2/5 minus 6/10. Okay, change the fraction. I got negative 1/5. And it's to the negative 1 power. Okay? All right. So now we take the power rule, says I take this, the negative 1/5 times negative 1. So I get 2 to the 1/5 power. And I'm done. All right. So that is for video 1. So now that those problems help you with problems number 4, 5, 8, 9, and 11 in the practice. And the practice with the problems we do are going to jump back and forth. So go ahead and do these problems while these are fresh in your mind, and then go on to video number 2.